Welcome to the Back in the Bay magazine podcast. Today we have Bill White, and we're going to talk about his entrepreneurial past and his current involvement, some of the local community things, including the Heritage Train Carousel Company that's celebrating its 30th anniversary. Welcome,
30th
Bill.
anniversary this year. Absolutely, Dave.
Right on.
Wonderful.
And big splash going to be made on the Labor Day weekend?
On the Labor Day weekend, yep.
Yeah.
A lot of activities planned.
You were telling me about some special guests this weekend while you're volunteering at the train. Tell me about that.
Saturday morning, we had a fairly large family all the way from Peru. Probably the first family that I've ever welcomed to the training carousel from South America.
Yeah. And they were from all over, too, Ontario, some other places.
We had people from Hearst and Timmins, Ottawa, Kitchener, Waterloo, of course, and Toronto. We welcome so many people from so many places. We have, on a good year, we will have upwards of 80,000 riders, and it's just a happy place. Oh, hi, Dave.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you here.
Good to be seen.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
I love to hear the giggles and the squeals of delight of the kids, and I call them children of all ages because we have a number of older folks come along too. And one lady I remember came from Quebec City telling me that she hasn't been on a merry-go-round for 30 or 40 years, and she was just delighted to be able to be on the merry-go-round again.
Keeps everybody young.
It does. And I had one lady tell me, "You are a teenager dressed in old man's clothes." I thought that was sort of funny. But anyway, so the trains are very, very popular. We have the replica of the Lucy Dalton, which was the last steam train in North Bay, into North Bay, before the advent of the FM7, the diesels. And then we have two FN7s rather, one diesel and one gas operated. And the gas unit comes out once a week because it has the handicapped accessible car for folks with the large wheelchairs.
Now, you've been around old as dirt. How old are you there, Bill?
I'll be 83 this September, Dave.
All right on. Well, you're looking good for 83.
Thanks. Don't cease to mention it.
You've been dealing with a couple health issues over the years, and we've been trying to get you in for the podcast interview. How are you feeling now?
I'm still dragging my tail. This long COVID crap is just no fun at all. My voice is going. I've got a very deep, dry cough. Food tastes like metallic. Energy levels are very, very low, and so on. So anyways, but I keep trying to do what I can.
Well, that's all we can do, really.
That's all we can do, yeah.
Get up when people call, you get up and go, right?
That's what happened this morning.
Yeah, hey, come on in, Bill.
Yeah,
we
come
got a
on
slot.
in.
Right? We've been trying to plan one for a long time, but that didn't work, so I just figured last minute just say, come on in.
Works.
Yeah. Now, you've been around town for a long time.
I've been around town for 83 years.
Yeah, you went to Tweedsmuir when you were a kid.
I did go to Tweedsmuir Public School with our friend Nancy Avery.
Yes. So you grew up in West Ferris.
I grew up in West Ferris on the other side of the tracks, yep.
Where did you live exactly?
Well, we lived in a number of places. We lived a small house right beside the Lakeview Inn. That's when Dr. Amer Moore and Edith McLean and her girls lived there, Joanne and can't remember the other girl's name. Anyways, Joanne and I got into a lot of fun together. I'll never forget one summer we painted the orange trim on the Lakeview Inn and the brown siding. And I think one of the cats got painted orange too. did not go over well.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of fun.
Which high school did you go to?
I started off at NBC INVS, and then when Chippewa opened, I was transferred over there, and that was in '58, I think.
Yeah. And what did you think of that? Who were some of your teachers?
Bill Calcock was one of my teachers. He was our geography teacher. Miss Wales, Miss Morgan.
Did you have a favorite teacher, or did anybody you hated the most?
No, it was. I didn't hate the teachers. It was the principal thing that I had trouble with.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, who's the principal?
Brown.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
Foster and Brown were. I guess Foster was the principal, and Mr. Brown was the vice principal. Yeah, he gave me a little bit of grief, more than once.
did you deserve any of it?
No, not at all.
Oh, well, you're just a tall guy, so
I was just a tall guy, and they picked on me.
Oh, okay. Well, when you're going to be 6'2", that comes with the territory, I guess.
That comes with the territory, yeah. I guess my first business was my paper route. My paper route was from Bernie Parker's Texaco service station down Gertrude Street, out through the swamp by Art Ross's Camp Friendship Motel, and then did all Lakeshore Drive all the way down to the end of Sunset Park.
That's a long route.
It was a long route, but it was good. It was a good learning experience.
Was it a Nugget or Star?
It was the North Bay Nugget.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether it was the biggest, but if not, it was close to the largest Nugget route.
Do you know how many homes?
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was in the hundreds, over 100. But anyways, and Bill Sullivan was my circulation manager at the time, and that was when they were over on on Main Street, on the corner of Algonquin and Castle Street in the old St. Regis Hotel building.
Oh, right on. Yeah, yeah. That was. I've seen pictures of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're too young to remember any of that.
Yeah, no, yeah. A little bit
And then they built that new building on Worthington Street, which was interesting too. But anyhow, and then I went from there, and then my first retail job in real business was with Gord Whitman at Whitman Jewelers, little hole in the wall store on Main Street. Mm-hmm. I think the Waxman record shop is in there now.
Yeah, I remember Whitman's there. Yeah.
Gord Whitman was a very fine gentleman. He and his cousin Laurie Whitman. Laurie was the watchmaker, and Gord was a jeweler. And he was a really nice man to work for. And I remember one of the gals that worked for us was Jerry McColman. She came from Mattawa. She and Micheline Shimbashi wound up to be Bill Shimbashi's wife. Boarded together on one of the apartments on Main Street, and Jerry was a fine lady and taught me a lot of how to deal with people, how to deal with the public.
That's a good skill to have.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that helped you on your way through business.
And then out of high school, I went to work for the T. Eaton Company. Mr. King, Claire King was an interesting. How that happened, because I had worked Christmases and summers for Eaton's in the hardware department, sporting goods and hardware department. And I had applied out of high school in '60. I had applied to the MTO for a drafting position, and I worked a summer shift. And then Mr. King came along and said, "Bill, would you like a full-time job here? We'll pay you $58 a week." And I jumped at that.
That was big money then?
Big money. So I started at Eaton's, and that's where I met my wife. That was a funny story, because I was walking in the upstairs of Eaton's at the time. There was a budget office, and I was walking past the counter at the budget office, and I saw this tall, good-looking young woman, and I thought, boy, I have to get to know her. Anyways, so long story short, wound up getting married in 62. And, yeah.
What's her
things
name?
changed.
What's
Joy.
her...
She was Joy Whitney.
Okay.
Her dad came up from Aurelia to sell real estate, and Dave Whitney Real Estate, he sold pretty much every motel, camp, and cottage between here and Temagami. More than once. I remember he sold the Manitou Motel at least 3 times. Allen's and McKercher's and, I've forgotten who else were the people that owned it. But anyways, and so then I went from Eaton's to I worked for Kingsway Dalewood Transport in their office here, where I learned what a teletype was. 1-fingered or 2-fingered teletype, crazy thing. But anyways, and then they transferred me to Toronto, and I did not like that at all. So we came back. I came back here, and got.
How long did you last in Toronto?
Oh, not long.
Yeah.
Not many months.
Yeah.
I came back to North Bay, and there was something in between there. Anyways, I then wound up with IBM. That's it. We started off with IBM, got a job at IBM in the stage site. And the funny thing is that those 3 computers were so huge, all vacuum tubes, and of course very hot, and they had to have air conditioning. And it was an interesting job. I met a lot of.
How long did you work in that sage
4 years.
complex?
4 years. I was down there for 4 years.
Who were some of the people you worked with?
Well, Jerry Curvin and Mike McGinn, and my boss was Bill Reed. Warren Dauncey was he was responsible for the punch machines and keyboard and computer. It was interesting. I got to travel that whole building because of my job, making sure that all of the pluggable unit racks were full of the proper components for the field engineers to pull out and replace when needed.
Computers have changed a little bit since then.
There's more power, there's more strength and power in my smartphone than there was in those computers.
Yeah. It's amazing, eh?
It is amazing. It was amazing. What really fascinated me was the tape drives. These great big things the size of a refrigerator, a huge refrigerator, and they were tape storage, and the tape would run down to the bottom and back up to the top a couple times. It was amazing. A 3/4 inch wide tape, and that's how they stored information in the day.
Yeah, it's amazing all the different changes we've seen in the technology for, saving on devices to actually the computing and the processing power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then they transferred me to Toronto, and neither my wife, we had a little girl at the time and enjoyed it. Neither of us had a good time down there. So I came back up here, and I got a job with a fellow by the name of Don Bushy from Fox Cartage and Tippett Richardson. And they took me down to Toronto and trained me on how to arrange and detail moves with people. And so I came back up here with them. And then I left there to open Acme Business Systems, which developed into PDQ printing. It was office equipment, yes, but then I bought a printing press and plate maker and developed a little instant print shop called PDQ Printing. Probably my most notable customer was Vic Fideli and Mrs. Fideli Lena at Caesar Novelty Buttons. I did all their printing for them.
Oh, okay.
And then they would cut them out and do the buttons for people.
Was that Hub Fideli or
Hub Fideli? Yeah. Well, Hub I think was with Fava at the time at the trophy shop on McIntyre Street.
Oh, okay.
And Mrs. Fideli and Hub and Victor rather ran Caesar Novelty Buttons.
What year was that?
Oh, that would have been, you know something, Dave? I cannot remember, but that probably would have been mid to late 60s.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That would have been probably late 60s.
Probably late 60s. Well, Greco's opened up in 69, so it was around that time, because I remember the thing that I did for Gary Greco. I printed flyers for him. And then one summer, I even worked in the pizza shop making pizzas. That was sort of a fun thing too.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that carried on for a few years. I think after my mother died, I sold the business to a couple of guys, and they ran it into the ground. Al Lamott got my printing machine and plate maker. Anyways, and it's been a number of things that I've done. And then I went on the road in 1980 for a while. I had the camping store, bicycles and cross-country skis. One of the fun things with the camping store that I did was a number of us, the North Bay Cycle Club, got together, and we had tours of Manitoulin Island every Labor Day weekend. Mark and Ruta Nikkanen, Jerry, and what's his name? He's a ski coach.
What was the name
Forsyth.
of your... Forsyth, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim and Jerry Forsyth.
What was the name of your camping store?
The camping store.
Okay.
It's where Topper's Pizza is now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Wayne Cole Pet Shop was beside me, and I bought that store from not Cherry Bartholomew, but anyways.
I've heard of that pet store before. Was that there for a long time?
Oh yeah, Wayne and they were fair people too. Wayne Cole had the pet store there, and then he got lung issues and had to have a lung replaced, and he didn't last long after that. But anyway, so yeah, it was fun. And then I went on after I bankrupted my camping store in February 11th, 1980, I went out on the road for a while, for several years, selling chemicals, cleaning chemicals, and then premier fasteners, nuts, bolts, and drills, and industrial stuff, industrial products. Anyway, so that went for a while, 3 years, and I wound up with a company called Spear and Jackson, selling sawmills products, saws, band saws, and circular saws, and chipper knives. And then they were bought out by a company in England, and they shut us down totally. I drove to a meeting in Montreal, and a guy sat me down at the table and said, here's your severance check and an airline ticket to go home. I was totally blown out of the water, shocked by that. Anyway, so it took me a while to get back on my feet after that one. And
sound like a resilient entrepreneur.
I made the mistake of learning how to spell entrepreneur.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. And then this business that I've been in, Bay Pressure Cleaning Systems, I sell and service pressure washers. At least I have been. Pressure wash equipment like the coin-op car wash, but mostly industrial and in the mining industry. Redpath have been a big customer. RDH over in Albin, the mines. Anyway, so that was an interesting turn of events. And it's lasted a long time, actually, 34, 35 years now. Yeah.
Well, that's an impressive resume you got there.
That's my resume, and I'm sticking to it.
And I guess learning how to deal with people is pretty important for all of that.
It is.
And it started with delivering newspapers.
Delivering newspapers. I remember as I walked down those streets, Gertrude Street and Parsons Avenue, and I remember a lot of the names and a lot of the people. I remember a funny thing that has happened more recently. There was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Geeden, and he lived on Gertrude Street. He was I believe he was a clerk in the township office on LSD, Lakeshore Drive at the time. He was a beekeeper, and he'd often hand me a piece of honeycomb, and it had a unique flavor to it. And more recently, a friend of mine, Irvin Deb Sloss, they have started to keep bees. Irving keeps bees. He retired from the OPP, and he keeps bees out near Mattawa somewhere. Anyways, and his honey just brought back the taste of Mr. Geeden's honey.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. I enjoy honey. I think it's very healthy.
It is.
Whenever I even have a tickle, I just take a spoon of honey and let it do its work. And
Yeah.
It seems to help out,
Oh, yeah.
And I use
That's
it.
good for us.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. I either get Board's honey or Leisure Farms honey now at the farmer's market.
Right.
Yeah. I always have honey in my cupboard.
Some people like honey, some people like maple syrup.
I do both.
I get maple syrup from our friends, the Hubbards in Sunridge.
Oh, okay. That's good stuff. Now, what do you think of the city's 100th anniversary coming up?
Wow. It's going to be amazing, I think. And I'm looking forward to it. I remember some of the activities from years ago as a kid. I'll never forget on the CPR concourse, we had the winter carnival, and we had an ice throne with the Queen and King of the carnival. We had Paul Bunyan and Babe, his blue ox here, and we had ice sculptures in the middle of the streets, intersections with lights on the inside of them. It was something else. I think Bruce McLeod had a big hand in that. He was the founder of the radio station, the FM radio station here in North Bay.
Right. Yeah. What years do you remember those winter carnivals?
I remember them when they went down to Sunset Point, and they had the ice skidoo races, and with Villeneuve was one of them. Very fast. Anyways, and car races on the ice, Harvey Loist and Denton Ortwain and Greg. Yeah, right. Anyways.
It might come. It might not.
It may or may not. At my age, they come and go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tea boiling contests, and then they had the dog sleds. They would take off from Sunset Park and go down and around Calendar Bay and back, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, hard to have winter carnivals now. You never know what's going to be a winner.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the insurance. One of the tragic things that happened that sort of put an end to the snowmobile races was a snowmobiler went out of control up through a fence and broke the legs of a spectator. And so it was, after that, the races went out to Sunnydale Raceway on Highway 17 East. It was a lot of fun, but I was too young for the parties. I heard a lot about the parties and the Empire and all the hotels were so busy. But that's all started off because of, I think it was Alex Sheaf at the Fur Traders building
Oh, okay.
because they brought in the trappers to sell their wares, their furs, and to the auction. And it was a crazy time. It was a lot of fun. The Legion was busy. All sorts of places were just jumping as far as dances and drinking and so on.
And the next biggest community event after that, I guess, was when they were doing the Heritage Festival.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. The Heritage Festival in Lee Park, that was wonderful. And of course, that is where the Heritage Committee with Heritage Gardeners and the Heritage Railway and the museum all come under the same umbrella sort of thing. And that's when that started 30 years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, Rod Johnson had a vision of a small railway.
Him and Stan Lawler, eh?
And Stan Lawler,
Yeah.
yeah. And they had this vision of a railway on the waterfront, and that's where it came from.
Now, I've been trying to figure it out. There's two names. There's the Heritage Railway and Carousel Company or Heritage Train and Carousel Company. Is it railway or train? Because even on your own Facebook page, it has both.
It does,
Yeah.
yes.
I guess
I
both
think
are
they're
right.
synonymous, eh?
They're both right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're both right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was trying to figure it out when...
HRCC, Heritage Railway and Carousel Company.
Yeah, I think that's the official name, railway, but
yeah.
train gets put in there.
I do, yeah.
And
I'm
I do
guilty.
it as well whenever I say it, but
I'm guilty.
yeah. But I guess it doesn't really matter.
No,
Right? Yeah.
I think they're pretty much synonymous.
Yeah. So what do you think of North Bay now compared to what it was, and how does it feel?
It feels a little strange in some ways. I am sad to see the homelessness and the people at the street corners, the bypass, with their hands out for money. It makes me sad to think that we have so many homeless and so many needy people out there. As far as the dynamics of the city goes, I think we're on track. We're doing a lot of good things to attract sports, tourism. I was part of the North Bay Cross Country Ski Agency for a while. John Milne from Canada College and I and a few others worked on that. We tried to run ski tourism, cross country ski tourism. That's when I had the store. That's from 74 to 80. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. We'd never have enough motel accommodation to bring busloads of people in from Ottawa or Toronto. And so it was a difficult thing. We would truck them, bus them out to Camp Conowongo, and we'd have races, and Bill and Jane Kiddick would host us out there, and we had some good cross country ski trails out in the day. And now with the Nordic Ski Club on North Shore Road, that's an amazing thing too to draw people in.
A big facility there.
A big facility. Yeah. I remember downhill skiing. I'd come up by bus to the ski club road, and we would, in order to get to the top of the hill, Mr. Fudge had developed a tow rope. And so we grabbed this big hunk of rope, and it would pull us all the way up to the top of the hill. And you had to let go at the right time, or your fingers would get caught in the wheels. Or if your mitts froze to the rope because they were wet, you lost your mitts. But then they brought in a pommel lift and then the chair lift, of course, since then. But yeah, that's an amazing thing. We used to go night skiing there a lot because while I was working for IBM, I'd bought a house, 778 Ski Club, little house, 840 square feet. But yeah, we just walked down to the ski hill and ski.
Yeah, it's another gem for the city, really.
It is really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We have a lot going for us. I can't believe the size of Canada or Nipissing University now. It's just huge. It brings in students from around the world. It's an amazing facility. And the O&R with their refurbishing shop is astounding what these guys are doing. The product that they're putting out at the O&R is better than the original
Yeah.
in many, many ways.
Well, you seem like you're all caught up and plugged into what's happening. You see the city for what it is. It has some really good things going for it.
It does.
Yeah.
One of my jobs as a kid was Loblaws. I was a parcel carryout boy and for Loblaws. And that was the old Loblaws. There were 3 Loblaws stores in North Bay. One where the Moose is now. The second one down where TD Bank is now. And the third one was out at Northgate Square. I think where the audio and TV shop is. Anyways, that was the third Loblaws. My mother worked at all 3 Loblaws stores in the meat department, and I worked at 2 of them.
How old were you when you worked for the Loblaws?
I was probably 12, 14 years old.
How much did they pay you?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I did get a few tips once in a while for carrying parcels out to the cars. Yeah, that was good.
My dad grew up in Cobden, and I have a picture of him on a bike with a big basket on the front because he did deliveries from the grocery store.
I had a big basket on the front for my papers.
You all right? Yeah.
White's Bicycle Shop, where Vic Fideli has his office now, and Canadian Tire was there, and White's Bicycle Shop, and there was a tire shop, and then there was the Melrose Smoke Shop or Joke Shop.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stores that have come and gone downtown.
Oh yeah,
right?
Oh yeah. I remember Alex Stevenson. His father had Stevenson Cigar Store up in the 200 block west, I think. And then Alex and Barb opened up their shop on across from me and the right near Met's Furniture, where Met's Furniture wound up. Anyways, and that's where the bicycle shop is now.
Interesting.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
If you were just starting out now, what business would you create?
What business would I create?
Yeah, what would you do for a business if you were just starting out now, young family?
I don't really know specifics. I have so enjoyed this pressure wash equipment business because I've been 4,000 feet underground working on equipment. I built specialized equipment for Hall Beach, which is a way up north. That's part of the distant early warning radar sites. I've built and done special stuff for people like the ONR, for the airbase, for the MTO. I built about 40 units that went in different offices around different locations around Ontario. It's been a good business. I've quite enjoyed it, and it's a hands-on thing. I've dealt with one of my suppliers. I've dealt with them for all these years. I started off with them, actually, and it's because of them, Pressure Systems in Toronto, that I started this business, because I was looking for something to do. I wanted a job. They said, no, we can't give you a job, but we'll set you up as a distributor. So that's what started the whole thing.
Yeah, well, you weren't afraid to get something off the ground. You had all that experience.
Oh, no, I wasn't afraid to get at it and work at it. With the technology and the smartphones and so on today, it's just changed things so drastically that, I mean, Amazon, you can order something from Amazon today and it's at your door tomorrow.
Yeah. That changes a lot of things
that
for
has
people.
changed so much, and industrially, it's changed so much too. I mean, North Bay used to have the largest ACT club, Associated Canadian Travelers, in Ontario and maybe even in Canada, because it was a hub. Highway 17 and 11, it was a hub for salesmen to live here and travel the North Country. I remember my uncle, who traveled for Ingram and Bell, he used to go all the way up to Cochrane and Hearst and Cochrane and so on. And yeah, North Bay has been a hub that way.
Mm-hmm.
As far as downtown goes, I'm sad to see that all the special stones, paving stones, have been pulled up and replaced by asphalt again. But again, that's progress, I guess. I remember when that Main Street was done with the paving stones. It was a wonderful treat, and the new sidewalks, and the stores were dynamic. I remember Pearls, the girls from Pearls, and other stores, Jack Bradford's Menswear, and all the menswear stores along there, and ladies' wear stores, and Woolworths, and Cochrane Dunlop Hardware, Eaton's, T. Eaton Company, Zellers, where the post office was. Oh yeah, it was a dynamic going concern, and there's a certain amount of that still, but it's much harder to find, in my opinion.
Well, the waterfront development in front of your eyes is your,
Yep,
you saw all that from what it was to what it is.
that's right.
Now, I keep hearing stories that the hobos used to live down at the beach there.
Yep.
Yeah. What was that like?
Well, I don't recall what it was like. It was interesting that there was a lot of, they would come in by rail, they would come in on a rail, and they'd hop off, and there was a lot of bushes. We still have a few squatters in the bushes around our little training carousel from time to time. Anyways, but yeah, that homelessness and hobos has changed a lot, and people are so afraid of it these days, either to live downtown or to shop downtown. And I don't see that. I'm sorry that's the sad part of this new generation, as it were.
It's all over, everywhere.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not unique to North Bay. Sudbury has got so much. On the corner of Brady and whatever street there is, they've got a whole area of crosses of people who have died with overdoses, drug overdoses.
Yeah. There's a day coming up to recognize overdose deaths.
Is there?
I can't. Yeah, that's how bad it is, and they now have an official day to recognize the loss that we're experiencing.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I'll get the date, but it's just in a week or two. Yeah, it's sad. The drugs that are out there right now, there's
killing people.
There's no second chances.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's no second chances.
Yeah.
No, they're
Either you're
absolutely killing people.
hooked for the rest of your deteriorating life, or you end up overdosing, and that's
That's
it.
right.
That's a sad thing. Now, I've seen you at the North Bay Museum.
Yep.
Part of the coffee chats there once in a while.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun to learn about some of the stuff of North Bay that I did not know. When we first came here, I was born in Truro, Nova Scotia, and my mother came up here in 41 to spend Christmas with her sister, and of course brought me up here. And she brought me up in a basket clothes hamper, and I tell people I've been a basket case ever since. Anyways, we came up here. We stayed in miners' cabins near where the sewage disposal plant is, but on the water side. And then they were living in the stone house. I call it the Thompson's house, because that's who I remember being in there. But anyways, it's big stone house right by the beach. And then they moved down to another street, another end of that Queen Street. And that's where I spent a lot of my younger years growing up, because my Aunt Fran and my cousins were there, and that's where we spent most of our time. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was good. I remember shoveling coal.
Yeah.
Yeah, into the furnace on Queen Street. We'd get a load of coal from Saya Fuels, and it would go down the coal chute, and then I'd have to go down to the basement. We would have to go down to the basement and shovel it into a pile near the furnace. Crazy.
Got to stay warm.
Yeah, you have to stay warm, that's for sure.
What was Chippewa Creek like then?
Well, Chippewa Creek was interesting. That end of Chippewa Creek was pretty, there was a big campsite there, a campground, North Bay Campground on Stanley Street. And, it was, Chippewa Creek was pretty much what it is now.
Yeah, but there's a little bit more going on around it, I guess.
There was a lot more going on around it, yes. Yeah.
I heard it's cleaner now.
I would think so.
Well, people told me that, it picked up everything that wasn't fixed to the septic tanks that people had, right?
Yeah.
So it was a little shitty, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
It's a lot cleaner now. Where the sewage disposal plant is now is there was a big house there. A couple of names I remember from that time was Willoughby's and Wilson's. Ma Wilson babysat me while my mother worked in that big house where the sewage disposal plant is now, right on Stanley Street. Ron Metals, I think, was, if I remember, it was there.
Mm-hmm. What did your mom do for work?
She worked for Loblaws. She worked in the meat department
right.
at Loblaws.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you had a daughter or
we
a
have
child?
two daughters.
Yeah, and
We have two daughters. One of them is in Ohio, a little bit north of Dayton, Ohio, in a place called Troy. And our oldest girl is in Newmarket, and she's a going concern. She's very much involved with their church, and they have a trailer up in Buckhorn that they go to, spend a lot of time there. Her husband's an avid catch and release fisherman.
Oh, okay, right.
He's been catching bass quite a few bass up in Buckhorn.
Is he a competitive fisherman?
No, I don't think competitive, just for pleasure.
Oh, okay, right. Well, I enjoyed talking and hearing all the different names and the different businesses that you've been involved with and the businesses that you remembered. Was there anything else you wanted to share with us?
Not really, Dave. People ask me why I volunteer at the Train Carousel, and I tell them that that's my happy place. Every Saturday morning, it's a happy situation, and I'm privileged to be part of it. I do the promotions, some of the promotion, making sure that all the hotels and motels, camps and cottages, provincial campgrounds have our literature to let people know that we're here and what we offer. Other than that, yeah, it's good.
Right on. Well, coming into the fall, is this the time of year you like?
I like the heat of the summer. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I don't like the humidity, but I do like the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a winter guy anymore. I used to be. I used to ski and I used to snowmobile, but that's a thing of the past at 83 now.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a lot of things in the past, a lot of things that I've done.
I like the fall and the winter.
The fall is nice.
Still.
Yeah, the fall is nice.
Well, actually, this time of year, August is my favorite month.
Oh, is it?
Because the flies are pretty well gone.
Flies are
And
gone,
then you
yeah.
can stay up and out and have a little fire and not have to worry about that. And I enjoy that. And there's a bit of a wet period in September I really
Yes.
don't like.
Yes.
And then October, again, I love October until it gets really cold. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay. So those are my favorite times.
I'll go into winter mode.
Yeah, go into winter mode and then just survive until spring.
Grow some chinsulation.
It's coming already.
I see that.
I see that.
I see that. Yeah.
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 Well, anyways, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dale. I'm really, Dave, I'm really I'm privileged to be here. Thank you for your interest in me.
It's going to make a nice little article for the fall edition for the Back in the Bay magazine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I like to do with these interviews is, just put enough in the print magazine so people can be interested in it, and then they go and hopefully go look at the longer interview and have
Right.
and enjoy it and come up with some memories and ideas of their own. And I enjoy this part of it very much.
good.
So
Good stuff. One of the other things that I really, as I was growing up, I was in Air Cadets. And these Glenn Fraser and Duke Monroe were leading up the Air Cadets in the day out in the Chippewa Barracks. And I had a lot of fun at that. I played in the band. I played glockenspiel. I played the single valve trumpet. And they actually sent me to Brantford to get my pilot's license, which I got my pilot's license at 16 or 17, and came home and couldn't use it because I couldn't afford it to fly here. I saved up enough for one flight off of Trout Lake Road, not Trout Lake Road, off of Trout Lake, and that was the only time I flew around here.
was the airport on Trout Lake still there?
Well, there were planes. Aurelia Airways had their docks and places on there. I think that eventually became Arnstein, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. I'm been slowly trying to piece together a feature on that. The Aurelia Airways there, and then just flying in North Bay in general. For,
private. Al Leishman would be a good guy to talk to on that one.
Who's this?
Al Leishman.
Oh yeah.
He's got the Beaver. He lives on I think he lives on Anita, and he's got a Beaver
Oh, okay.
aircraft that he flies out of there quite often. But anyways, yeah, that was fun. There was a little Aeronca Champ on pontoons. Anyways, it's interesting the experiences I've had. Air Cadets was a good thing for me. My mom was a single woman, single mother before that was a popular thing or supported thing. And yeah, it was interesting. I had an aunt that from Toronto. She was a school teacher, and she was very interested in us here. She took me and my mother and my cousins out to Carberry, Manitoba, to touch base with family out there, and then also going the other way out to Maine, Wells Beach, right on the coast, Atlantic coast of Maine. And she was wonderful for education and learning stuff.
She had a little bit more wherewithal. And
She was a teacher. She had more money. She was a school teacher in Toronto, and so she had a career. And she would come up here, and we'd hop in her old Pontiac and head west to Sault Ste. Marie and cross Sioux down to Green Bay, and then across the States and then come up in Winnipeg, and then head west to Carberry, Manitoba, between Winnipeg and.
That's a pretty cool road trip.
Oh, it was a fun road trip. Oh, I've got some memories on that one too. Oh dear, that's where we were at Bemidji at one time. That's where I learned about Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, and how Paul Bunyan used to comb his hair with a pine tree.
Yeah,
that was before Mufferaw and Mattawa.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. a lot of memories of growing up on Lakeshore Drive. I remember Alan Fogel was, his mother had Silver Beaches cabins, and he got on to CKGN TV, and he and I think it was John Size at the time, Alan would be in his casket, and he'd come up out of the casket, and Johnny Size would throw rolls of toilet paper at him. Just funny things.
I was just thinking of a good headline for this interview, growing up on LSD.
Yeah.
The memories of your trip of life or something like that.
Something like that. Sure.
I had not heard of Lakeshore Drive being referred to as LSD before.
Oh, okay.
So now, I'll always do that.
People take that in the wrong way, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just hyphenated, just shortened.
Yeah, no, that works for me.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up because this, the show has to be only so long,
Right.
or people will not watch. But a lot of great memories, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. If you have something else you want to, if something comes to your mind after this, give me a call, and I'll add it in with the story maybe.
Okay, well, whatever. I appreciate the interest in this guy, because really I'm nobody special, Dave. I just happen to have a lot of history in North Bay, 83 years of it now.
Well, that in itself is special, Bill.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining the Back in the Bay Magazine podcast, where we share old memories and talk about things of yesteryear and how it compares to now. Please like, share, and comment if you'd like, and subscribe to the magazine. You can buy it at various stores in town. We're at Laporte's. We're at the museums, Calendar and North Bay, Allison the Bookman, and East End Variety, and Dark Horse Comics, and I can't remember all of them, but that's it. So thank you. Have a good day.